Hello everyone, welcome to my Snowflake session. This session we are going to discuss about virtual warehouses in Snowflake. I would highly recommend you to watch some of my previous sessions on Snowflake where we discuss about the typical Snowflake architecture and time travel options and about the tables and views. So in continuation to those series of videos, this video will provide you the basic understanding and the terminologies behind the virtual warehouses. So what is a virtual warehouse in Snowflake? In a typical Snowflake architecture, we term two things. One as the query processing layer, which is the virtual warehouse layer. It is termed as the muscle of the system. There is something called a services layer, which is termed as the brain of the system. So muscle is all about the power. We are going to discuss about the computing power in the Snowflake system. So what is a virtual warehouse? Typically, this is the definition which is provided by Snowflake. A virtual warehouse is simply a warehouse which is the cluster of compute resources which will provide the CPU, memory and the temporary storage to perform typical operations like select, delete, insert, update, either DDL operations or DML operations where the data loading and data updation is going to happen. Also, if you want to bulk load the data into the Snowflake tables from some of the cloud storage like AWS S3 or Azure Blob, then also the warehouses is getting involved. And similarly, if you want to unload the data, then also these warehouses are getting involved. In simple terms, warehouse is all about the computational power in Snowflake which is required for you to do any of the operations. If you see the typical Snowflake architecture, there is the isolation between compute and storage. So the data is stored in the cloud based storage layer, say on AWS S3 or Azure Blob or GCP GCS, but the computational power to do the processing on top of the data is provided to us using this option called as the virtual warehouse, which we are calling it as warehouse. Hereafter I am going to call it as a warehouse. So what are all the various different terminologies? A warehouse can be started and stopped at any point in time. So you can start it, you can stop it at any point in time, and it can be resized at any time. At whatever time you want, you can resize it. Even if it is running, while the warehouse is running, you can resize the warehouse. Resizing typically means it is all about scaling up or scaling down, which means I want to increase the capacity of my existing warehouse. So you can do that at any point in time. But one important thing to note, the currently running queries won't be affected, but the subsequent queries will be utilizing the resized value of the warehouse. So the warehouse size, what is the warehouse size? The warehouse size specifies the number of servers that comprise each cluster within the warehouse. So Snowflake offers the warehouse sizes in the form of t-shirt numbers basically. So it starts with XS, which is extreme small, and it will end up with 4x large. So it is like it looks in this manner. So the starting point, the starting warehouse size in Snowflake is X small, which will comprise of only one server. So the credits which is consumed by that is going to be 1 credits per hour. If you minimize it to per second, it will be something like 0.0003. So how the billing works, Snowflake bills for each and every second, but for the initial 1 minute, first 60 seconds, it will be billed by default. So if you are spinning up an warehouse, if you are starting using an warehouse, for first 60 seconds, even if you terminate it, Snowflake will be billing it for the first 1 minute basically. After that, whatever the way, whenever you terminate your warehouse, it will be billed in a per second basis. So these are all the various warehouse options, various warehouse sizes what Snowflake is offering to us. So we can select each and everything based on our demand. This is how the credits are getting consumed. So the billing in Snowflake happens using something called as Snowflake credits. The Snowflake credits are completely directly tied to the size of the data warehouse, size of the warehouse which we are making use of. And similarly you can see something here, as we already discussed, for first 60 seconds the credits is going to be common. This tabular column will show how the credits will move. Say for first 60 seconds it will be common, and then after, if you terminate your cluster at 61st second, then it will be, you will be charged the same, and if you terminate it on 2 minutes, then you will get this charge 10 minutes and 1 hour. So ideally how it happens, it is like this credits whatever they are mentioning, if you are going ahead with an X small type of warehouse, if you run that warehouse for 1 hour, the number of Snowflake credits it is going to consume is one units basically. So this will rise exponentially. So if you are making use of 4x large warehouse for 1 hour, it will consume you 128 credits per hour. So if you run an 4x large for 1 hour, 128 Snowflake credits will be consumed. So these two tables will provide the overview on the different warehouse sizes and how they are getting built. On the continuation in this virtual warehouse space, we are going to discuss about the data loading. So data loading, you can load the data into Snowflake from multiple different data sources using multiple things. So as we already discussed, for loading the data we need to spin up an warehouse. The warehouse must be up and running. In this case, if you are seeing some sort of performance issues while loading the data, increasing the warehouse size won't give you much of the performance. That's one important key point to note. So for data loading, increasing in the sense scaling up. It is like scaling up means, say if I'm using a small warehouse, if you scale it to say medium or large, then also you won't get benefited in terms of the data loading basically. So you need to think through some file mechanisms, you need to think through some multiple file uploads kind of a mechanism to improve the data loading performance. Altogether, query processing will be benefited if you are seeing some sluggishness in your query processing time. Then increasing the size of the warehouse, say like as we already discussed, scaling up the size of the warehouse will give you some benefits as we are increasing the capacity power of the specific warehouse. So two important points to note, it is auto suspend and auto resume. When you create the warehouse, we are going through some short demo over here where we will explore these options in slighter detail. So while creating the warehouse, we need to specify two things called as the auto suspend and auto resume. These two terms are self-explanatory. So how it works, auto suspend is all about suspending the warehouse when there is no action happening on the warehouse for a specific period of time. So it automatically suspends the warehouse, so the credits won't be consumed. This will be specified while creating the warehouse, and it can be overridden at any point in time using the alter warehouse command as well, right? And auto resume is similar. It is like say when a warehouse is there, it goes to the suspend mode because of non-activity on the warehouse. Once you fire a query, once you start firing a query against the warehouse, automatically that warehouse will be auto resumed and it will start up and running. So both these things you can specify while creating the warehouse actually. And one more thing to note, there is a concept for multi-cluster warehouses which we are going to discuss as the part of the next slide. In this case as well, if you are defining a multi-cluster warehouse wherein which the auto suspend and auto resume will be applied across the warehouse, which means across all the clusters. That's the one important thing which we need to note. So, and we are going to discuss about query processing and concurrency over here. What are all the impact with using the virtual warehouses on the query processing and concurrency? As we already discussed, the query processing will be benefited by scaling up the size of the virtual warehouse. If you are having some throttling, some sluggishness on the query, then you can get benefited by increasing the size of the warehouse to the next subsequent or 2x subsequent levels. But when it comes to the concurrency, typically if you see, there are concurrency issues happens when there is no space in the typical warehouse. So concurrency related issues is like concurrent users are trying to access the Snowflake system. Snowflake uses a typical methodology. What it happens, say if multiple people are firing a query using a typical warehouse will calculate and reserve the compute resources needed to process each and every query. So if it finds warehouse does not have enough resources to process a query, what warehouse does, it will simply place the query in the queue position. So the query will be moved to queued. Once the resources are getting released by the existing queries, automatically the queries which are running in which are lying there in the queues will be pulled in for processing. So this can be determined using two parameters. One is the standard queued timeout in seconds. So what happens, say my query is there in the queue for some duration of time, you can specify this parameter. After this specific point in time, all these are the seconds parameter actually. So after this specific point in time, that specific query which is lying in queue will be automatically terminated. And same thing happens for statement timeout as well. These are all the parameters which is used to manage the queuing length and also to manage the maximum time frame for a specific query which is going to run within the warehouse. So these are all typical parameters which we can tune around and which we can set to avoid the excessive queuing and also the excessive time lag for each and every query. In general, the query processing can be improved using the scaling up mechanism. When it comes to the concurrency is all about multiple user accessing the system, the queuing stuff whatever we had discussed. So to avoid all these things, say if I am having some sort of a spare mechanism where my queued resources will be pulled in by that spare warehouse and everything will be processed there. So that type of a mechanism will be provided to us using the horizontal scaling, which will be provided using the multi-cluster warehouses. So for a user concurrency type of a stuff, we are making use of scaling out mechanism, which will pull the excessive queries, which will pull the queued queries for the processing. So warehouse resizing is primarily intended for improving the query performance. It is not for the concurrency. Now we are going to discuss about the multi-cluster warehouses, which we discussed so far in the previous slide. Multi-cluster is all about scaling out. We are going to have multiple clusters within the warehouse so that this queuing and whatever the queries which are lying in the queue, everything will be processed in a parallel way with the help of the another cluster. So this is how it is. It's all about horizontal scaling. What we are going to do, it is while creating this cluster, one important thing to note, multi-cluster warehouses are typical. It is available only on the other version. It is not available on the standard version of Snowflake. It is available only on the enterprise version of the Snowflake. So you need to be in the enterprise version to enable this multi-cluster warehouses, where while creation of the warehouse you will specify the maximum number of server clusters and the minimum number of server clusters, which means it is like it will start from it will start from greater than 1. Altogether if you give 1, it is going to be single cluster warehouse. For multi-cluster warehouses, we need to define it as 2 or 3, which means we are having the multiple clusters of the same size. Say my warehouse size is going to be medium and I am defining it as 3 cluster warehouse, then we will be having 3 medium sized warehouses within the same 3 scaled out warehouses, which will provide us more concurrency. So to understand it more, multi-cluster warehouses comes with 2 modes basically. There are 2 modes within the multi-cluster warehouses. One is the maximized mode. Maximized mode is the place where we are making use of all the clusters within the warehouse. This can be done by specifying the same number in both the maximum number and minimum number, by specifying the same number on both the clusters, which means at all the time the maximum number of clusters will be running. Whatever we specified will be running. This will provide more help in terms of the non-fluctuating workload. Say I am having large number of concurrent users, the numbers are going to be almost same for a constant duration of time. Then this type of maximized clusters will be helpful to avoid the concurrency, to reduce the query queuing and all these things. But typically if you see, if you want to have some economic stuff, then you need to make use of auto scale mode. Auto scale is all about we are defining different numbers in minimum and maximum. Altogether the minimum number of servers will be instated at the first point. Depending on the workload, it can simply scale out the number of clusters and it will go till the maximum number if you are having more number of workloads. So this will be more beneficial in terms of economy. Why? Because it's not all the clusters are spinned up at the initial level. that will reduce the number of Snowflake credits which is going to be consumed. So these are all two main modes, maximized and auto scale are the two main modes. Within auto scale we are having something called as a scaling policies. So again we are going to discuss about two different type of scaling policies within auto scale. Auto scale we already discussed, the maximum and minimum number of clusters are going to be different. So we start with this minimal number and we can increase it, we can scale out based on the load demand. In this case, if you can see the scaling policies, you can define it as standard. Standard means it's like it will prevent and minimizes the queuing by favoring the starting additional clusters over conserving credits, which means it will start some additional clusters at the starting time itself so that the queries in the queue will be minimized actually. But when it comes to economy mode, economic scaling policy, it will be slightly opposite from standard policy, which conserves the credits basically. So it won't create new clusters, it won't increase the clusters at the starting point. So it's like whenever a cluster is fully loaded, then only the additional clusters will be spinned on actually. So this when the cluster starts and all these things, immediately it is like whenever a query is fired, whenever a query is queued, immediately the cluster will start. But in this case, if you see, at least for 6 minutes it will see if the cluster is busy, then only it will start the next cluster altogether. That's how the economy works. So the credits will be very less in this case, but in the standard case this will be slightly higher, credits will be slightly higher. So two main modes, maximized and auto scale. Within auto scale, scaling policies are standard and economy, which we need to be aware of actually. And other things, we are going to discuss about how the credits works for the multi-cluster warehouse. We discussed about multi-cluster warehouse as an scaling out option and how the credits are going to work. So it is very simple to calculate the number of clusters plus the warehouse size. As we already discussed, credits is all tied up to the warehouse size starting from XS to 4x large. So depending on the number of clusters, it will be monitored, it will be it is like multiplied with the number of clusters over there. In simple example, if you can see, say maximum credits consumed per hour by the medium size cluster, as we already discussed, medium size cluster is all about it will consume if you check the previous slide, first slide, it will consume around 4 credits. So if you are running it with 3 clusters for 1 hour, it will consume you around 12 credits. That's how it is defined actually. So if the multi-cluster warehouse is resized, the new size applies to all the clusters in the warehouse, including the clusters which are currently running and any clusters which are going to be started after the warehouse is resized. This is the same stuff which we discussed already in the first typical virtual warehouse stuff. So whatever the clusters which are defined, if you do the resize, all the clusters will be resized to the subsequent queries from that point on. So this simple example calculation is mentioned over here. This is an ideal calculation. It's a medium cluster, 3 medium multi-cluster warehouses with 3 clusters actually. So how it works, if I am running it for 2 hours in the maximized mode, this is the typical maximized mode. So it will consume, as we know, 4 credits per 1 hour for a medium size. So for all the 3 clusters, it will consume 12 credits, and also for the second hour, it will consume 12 credits. So totally for running it for 2 hours on a maximized mode, it will consume me 24 credits. But when it comes to the auto scale mode, here if you can see, cluster 1 is running for the first hour, only for the first hour, and for the second hour the cluster 2 is running, and only the 50% of the cluster 3 is running for second hour, which means only for 30 minutes the cluster 3 is running. Altogether, this is how the typical auto scale works. Depending on the workload, the number of clusters will be increased and decreased automatically. So if you see the credits over here, it will be only 14 credits depending on the running time for the clusters within the multi-cluster warehouse. So what are all the benefits of using multi-cluster warehouses? That's one important thing to understand. So if you are going ahead with a single cluster warehouse as an ideal typical single cluster warehouse, everything is manual. So if you are having some higher workload, if you are having some higher concurrency, we need to do the scaling up and all these things very manually. We need to increase the size, resize of the cluster, and once the load decreases, then we need to scale down the cluster. So all these things are completely manual. manual in the case of the standard single cluster. But when it comes to the multi-cluster, everything goes in an auto scale basically. So if you do an auto scale mode, as we already discussed, everything will start and stop automatically depending on the load. And also if you are going ahead with maximized mode, you are having the complete control on the capacity of the warehouse by increasing or decreasing the number of clusters which is needed over there. So typically multi-cluster warehouses are very much beneficial when it comes to the multiple level of workloads, and when it comes to the multiple level of loads and multiple level of queuing actually. And one important thing to note is the warehouse caching mechanism. So as we discussed, warehouse is all about the computational power, right? So each and every warehouse while running, it is having some sort of a memory, some sort of a storage within itself, where the query results are getting cached basically. So if I'm firing a query against a table, the query results are cached on the specific warehouse. So when you fire the query against the same set of the table for the second time, you can see some improved performance. Why? Because already the data is available within the cache in the warehouse. This will provide some sort of a better performance, and it will give the direct latency of data, since the data is directly read from the warehouse instead of going to the cloud-based storage and pulling the data from there. So this cache, how this cache is determined, the size of the cache is determined by number of servers in warehouse, which means it is the depending on the warehouse size. So if I am having an XS, then my cache will be very small. If I am having an 4X, then my cache will be very high. So we need to select this caching accordingly depending on how much we are going to cache this option. We need to select the warehouse sizes. One important thing to note, whenever a warehouse is suspended, whenever the warehouse is suspended, even it goes to the suspended mode, then all the data in the cache will be dropped, which means if you fire a query against this warehouse which is in the suspended mode, you won't get any performance benefits. Automatically it is like a fresh transaction where it will go to the cloud-based storage and it will pull the data. So the slower initial performance for some queries after the warehouse is resumed. That's one important key thing to note whenever a warehouse is suspended, and also whenever a warehouse is resized. If I am resizing the warehouse, say from XS small to small or small to medium, then also the cache will be completely wiped off. That will result in slightly higher query response time for the subsequent queries. And another important thing here, how to select the warehouse size. Snowflake is providing us some of the recommendations. So for data loading, the warehouse size should match the number of files being loaded and the amount of data for each file. That's how you need to select whenever you are selecting the warehouse for the data loading. And for small scale queries and testing environments, it's better we can opt for X small or medium. And for a large scale production environment, we need to opt for large, X large or 2X large, etc. for more cost effectiveness. And also we can select the multi-cluster warehouses, which will provide the option for us. So it's time for a small demo where we are going to discuss whatever we discussed so far in a smaller demo to understand it in a better way. In this demo, we are going to look at some of the warehouses options which are provided to us by the Snowflake. So as the initial starting point, you can see something over here. This provides what is the role and what is the warehouse and what is the database and what is the schema. If you can see, currently the compute_WH is the warehouse which is in the suspended mode. We already discussed about the suspended and all these things. If I go through this warehouse over here, it shows me the status of suspended. This is the warehouse which is over there. So for some of the initial purposes, let us try to do something. I am more inclined towards query mode. So what I can do, let me run this query, show warehouses. So show warehouses will tell me what are all the various warehouses which are currently running on my system. You can see the compute_WH is the warehouse, and suspended is the state. The type is the standard. As we already discussed, it's a standard type of an thing. And you can see auto suspend is 600, which means 600 seconds, which means 10 minutes. 10 minutes is the auto suspend time for this specific warehouse actually. And you can see there are a lot of other things over here, and the owner and when it is updated and all these things. things are over here. So using the auto suspend and auto resume, you can understand what is the auto suspend time and what is the auto resume stuff which is mentioned over there. So I am going to create a new warehouse which is test underscore WH with the warehouse size of x small, and it is same like auto suspend of 300 in the sense it is going to be 5 minutes basically. It's all in seconds, and auto resume is true. So let me fire this query over there. So test underscore WH warehouse got created, right? I'm not going to, it's again, typically if you can see test underscore warehouse is in the running mode. Instead of that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a change over here, and I'm selecting the compute underscore WH. So what I am going to do, it is let me run these queries which will set my schema and database as correct stuff, and I'm going to create a sample table. I had created a table over there. The sample table got created under this thing. If I can refresh this, then automatically it will come up. And then what I'm going to do, it is, wait a second, let me just refresh this stuff so that we can see this. This is the sample table, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to change my warehouse using the use warehouse command. I'm changing the warehouse. So I had changed it to test underscore WH, and I'm going to insert some of the details into the table using the new warehouse actually. So you can see two stuff over there, two rows got inserted. Now for another usage, I am changing the warehouse to compute underscore WH, and now I am going to select the table using the compute underscore WH actually. So I got the results back. So typically the idea behind this is I am trying to show you how these things works. It's like the isolation between storage and compute. So depending on the compute cluster, you will get the power alone. The storage is all there in the cloud-based storage. So I had showed how to create your warehouse, basically how to create a warehouse. Now if I do a show warehouses here, both the warehouses will be there. All of them are in started state. As you already see, it's in suspended state. Since it's not there, everything is there in the started state right now. So how it works, it's automatically all these things will be moved to the suspended state. When it goes automatically after 10 minutes of inactivity, if I am not using this warehouse for more than 10 minutes, then it will automatically go to suspended mode. Similarly, if I am not using this warehouse for more than 5 minutes, it will be moved on to the suspended mode. Now I am trying to show some other stuff. If you want to create the warehouse in a visual way, this is the option where you can type in the same stuff over here, test1 underscore WH, and then you can create. See, let me, same thing is mentioned over here. Let me create it as XS small. Auto suspend, I am keeping it as 5 minutes. Auto resume, I am selecting, and again it is something like a test. If I click on finish, then automatically this warehouse also will get created over here. And to understand the credits and to understand how it is functioning, you can just click on this over here. It will show the different warehouse count and how long it is running, and all these things can be fetched by seeing this tab over here by selecting the specific warehouse inside this warehouses button. So typically it's a very simple stuff. It's simply power, whatever the power which you need to do all your sorts of work is given to you using the warehouse. I'm using the standard version, so I'm not able to show the multi-cluster warehouses where I can specify the minimum and maximum count of clusters as we discussed in the session. So since I'm using the standard version, I'm not in a position to show that. But it's a simple stuff where you can define minimal number of clusters and maximum number of clusters. It works in a very similar way actually. So this is how you can create a warehouse, and you can make use of that to do some of the DML statements, and also to select the data, to show it, and all these things. I hope this session has been informative for you. If you like this session, you please do comment, do like, and do subscribe for my YouTube channel. This will help me to improvise my contents, and also this will help me to create more videos in a similar fashion. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching.